So to here, we've looked at a few of our data types, both cardinal data types, the ones included with C++, and non-cardinal data types, things like the string object that we have to include. So it's a separate library that we're using or we're gaining access to and using, but isn't necessarily part of our default C++ builds. Now, here is just to demonstrate what the size of those different data types is. Now, I will mention this is 2.11 in your text determining the size of a data type. This starts on page 59. There is this little piece of program here, 2-18, and I have a REPL that'll be here in the description and below that you can follow along with. I want to come over here and take a look at the code. What I will mention right here, you can see SizeOf is on line number 10. So SizeOf is what is known as a function. This is part of our standard C++ library. SizeOf has the open and the close parens that come with it. And you can see here on line number 10 that we are inside of that open and close parens, we have int. So what we are asking here is for C++ to return to us the bytes of an integer value. Here on line number 12, you can see the size of a long integer. Here on line number 14, an apple can be eaten in, which is just clever, like author garbage, SizeOf. And here inside of SizeOf, you'll see I have apple. So my variable, that's its identifier, its variable name. And you'll see here on line number 8, I've already defined what apple is. Apple is a long double. So we'll see the size of a long double. So I'm just going to go ahead and run this. You'll see how long this takes. Not very long. And here, the size of an integer, 4 bytes. The size of a long integer, 8 bytes. An apple can be eaten in, which is simply reporting to you the size of a long double, which is 16 bytes. Now, before we can say, yes, I understand, now I've seen that each one of my variable types requires a different amount of storage. That's all well and good. We've also talked about the string object. I'm going to go ahead and comment back in line number 18 on a Mac. That's simply command / on a Windows or a Chromebook, that would be control / and I've commented that line back in. And here we can see that a string is 32 bytes. So a string takes up much more space than an integer does. So think about that. These things, these storage considerations, are important. They might not feel important to us over the scope of a, very short 21 lines of code. But when we have something like an operating system or an application running, those storage considerations do become more important. And that's something we will keep our eyes on when we get through some of our subsequent chapters 3, 4, 5, and 6.